You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR Lightning. As always, my name is Jake Ricker, and alongside me, it's Matt Dannon. And I don't know where Joe Zamataro went. He's missing right now. I don't know who's that in the middle of the screen right now. But welcome back into the Halloween edition of RBLR Lightning. Guys, first and foremost, how you doing today? Let's go through the costumes. Matt, let's start with you. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing just terrific. It's the best day of the year. It's a great week coming off of some great wins. Again, best day of the year. Kitted out in the best, freshest Lightning gear you could get. I'm the super fan today, but who's this guy to the left of me?
I had to surprise you guys.
That can't stay on. Because you can't hear a thing. But I'll leave this on. Look goofy as all get out at any rate. Doing pretty well, guys. Had an interesting occurrence happen yesterday. I think you guys might like it. I play on a couple of hockey leagues, as I've mentioned on here. One of them is on Sunday nights, and there's a Sunday night C level hockey league, and you never know who's going to show up sometimes. JT Brown went out there and played some C-level hockey. I mean, that had to be so cool for everyone that was out there. Like halfway through the game, he switched sides to play for the other team. And it's so funny seeing like a very recent NHLer out there. I mean, it's usually having trouble making passes to some of the guys because the speed difference was, such a big change from what he's used to. It was really cool to watch, and I'm sure everyone out there had a ton of fun. He had the biggest smile on the entire time, so it was made for a good cap to the weekend.
He always seemed like he was having the greatest time, no matter like what the game was. Just anytime he was on the ice, he always had a big smile. So happy to see him. Yeah. Not repping Bolts blue, but he still had the uniform on, and it's probably pretty crazy how a career fourth liners looks like Wayne Gretzky against you guys, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And he's now the color analyst for the Kraken, who are in town and playing later this evening against our boys. So his wife actually used to play goalie in the leagues in Brandon, so he's been up there a few times. Obviously, made some friends and connections, and came back out and gave us all something to have a couple of drinks and laugh with.
Yeah, that's really cool, especially too when you see these hockey players coming back and hanging out with the community. Because at the end of the day, they're people too, right? So that's awesome to see that he's still very connected with the Tampa community. Well, we got an action-packed episode for you guys today. Don't forget to follow us on social media at RBLR Sports, at RBLR Lightning, so you don't miss out on future episodes. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel too, so you don't miss out on those future episodes, and you get a chance to go check out some of the older episodes if you missed those as well. But today, we've got some big news to talk about before we get into the game recaps and what's coming up for the Lightning and the Three Stars, of course, as we do every week. Guys, Andrei Vasilevskiy is back on the ice. It's the first time we've seen him suffering that injury early in training camp, but just exciting news anytime you get that video of Vasilevskiy out there. But the big thing for me right now is Johansson, who we'll get to later in this episode. He's going to be the main focus of today's show. If he's looking as good as he is, Vassy, take your time. Let's not rush anything back. Joe, you were talking about you have to basically stay upright for the first, I think, was you said 2 weeks or first week, and he's out there on the ice, which to
horizontal. Yeah, horizontal, completely laying down without moving. You just want everything to kind of like, just kind of like tighten up and heal nice and in the right spots. And yeah, it's big, that he's out there. I'm sure he feels a million times better than he did before the surgery. It's night and day difference, but at the same rate, buddy, take it slow. Take it, it makes me worrisome. One little twitch, you could reverse
Don't
reverse
say
it.
that.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to. I'm just saying I want him to be careful and get the full rehab going because we're okay right now with the Lightning. The Lightning are doing all right. We want them. We definitely want them back, but we're not in panic mode.
Yeah, Jake, you said it best. As long as Johansson keeps playing the way he's playing, or maybe even a couple notches below, is still spectacular. Bazzi, take your sweet time. We'll see you in January at this rate.
Yeah, and it's exciting, obviously, for Bolts fans to see him back on the ice. But the last thing you want is, like what Joe mentioned, is something goes wrong, and it just makes it worse. Last we heard from Cooper is he's on track to come back after that 2-month span, which is, I think they said, right around Thanksgiving-ish. And Cooper mentioned, of course, Vasilevsky, he's the type of guy that wants to be out there tomorrow if he can. But I think even the coaches and some of the doctors are like, take it slow. Let's not push it right now. But he is back on the ice, so a positive sign for Vasilevsky and his recovery efforts. But as we mentioned, let's talk about the Bolts week this week, because I think coming into this week, guys, we were like, all right, it's fine. There's a couple of red flags here. The defense is not looking great. It's something we'd like to see them work on. And holy cow, the defense stepped up in a big way, starting off with their first game as they took on the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Lightning come through with a 3-0 shutout. So after struggling on defense, the defense showed up huge in this one, guys. Johansson was fantastic, stopping everything the Carolina Hurricanes threw at them, and they come away with a huge 2 points against a very good Carolina team.
This was a nice rebound from the week before in terms of their defensive miscues that they had, and looking at it, they had 4 penalty kills that they were successful on all 4 kills. They've continued to just do really well on special teams. They went 1 for 4 on the power play. And that's something that really sticks out, is continuing the good habits that they already have while improving some of the bad habits that they had going on. There's still some blown assignments and maybe a goal or two that should have gone in for Carolina that didn't. But overall, they got something that they were able to build on, and a few goal scorers that needed the confidence boost as well.
Yeah, and it was a huge rebound week, like you said, Joe. I mean, the tune we were singing last week is not the same song we're singing this week. Like, we could not be on completely different sides of the spectrum in just 7 days. But that Carolina game, it was not dominant, but it was just a very well played game all around. At the point, probably the best game of the season the Lightning have played so far. And don't get me wrong, there were, like you said, Joe, still some missed assignments, and I think we got lucky at a couple parts of the game. Like, I couldn't tell you how many just whiffs Carolina had, probably a solid 5 or 6 prime scoring chances that they just completely missed the puck on, or just got a bad shot or broke a stick. Like, whatever it was, there was a lot of luck involved, but again, you got to be good to be lucky. So this team's looking pretty good, and a lot of they had some quality chances too. There were a couple partial breakaways, couple odd man rushes. It wasn't by any stretch a perfect game for the defense and for the forwards, but it was a perfect game for Jonas Johansson, sealing a 3-0 shutout.
Well, John Cooper said it, right? They kept a lot of the shots to the outside. They got 32 shots on goal, but a lot of them weren't those high danger chances that we had been seeing in the last couple of weeks. So that was a big help. Joe, you mentioned some of the big goal scorers. Braden Point gets his first of the season in this one. It seemed like he was snake bitten all season long, and he finally gets one in the back of the net. So a big one for him. Alex Bière-Boulet got another goal, the second of this season as well. He's a guy who we've talked about so many times on the show about not being able to find that success in translating it from the AHL level to the NHL level. He's been playing pretty good so far, and he's getting a chance to play with those top guys on those top lines, and I've been impressed with him so far this season. But he gets a goal, and then Nick Paul, the big thing with his goal is I believe it was the first time he had scored 5-on-5. All his goals had come on the power play, and he gets one through here on 5-on-5. So just really overall a very solid effort from the Lightning. They get a big 2 points out of that one.
You're muted. Joe,
you're muted.
Thank you. We were saying that Point was snake bit during the season. We were saying that he was snake bit during this game when he had several premium chances that he just couldn't score. One of which he was literally all alone in the front of the net, and he could have slid it 5-hole and scored easily. But he decided to try like elevating it and got beat by the goalie. A couple of other chances before he finally, it was just a deflection goal that he put in. Still a lot of skill to hit the puck out of the air, but it wasn't like one of his big snipes that he does in the slot or anything. But still, you could see that it helped get the monkey off his back and drive those snakes away.
It's crazy that a 6-game goalless streak is getting the monkey off the back. But, I mean, honestly, for Braden Point, it's like getting a gorilla off your back. You get that first one, more will come. As we, saw in the San Jose game, he opened the scoring up with that one. But, you just get that first one and more will come.
I do want to say the quote that Point had in his post-game interview, because it kind of summarizes what we're saying with their play. In the press conference, he says, comparing the closing out Carolina versus the Leafs, less sitting back, still trying to press play and play our game and stay on top of them. I think in the Toronto game, we just kind of sat back and gave them too much time to make plays, and I thought we did a good job of just continuing to press them. It's the big difference. Stay on your game and don't get on your heels, and you see how it worked out for them.
Yeah, that was the drum we kind of beat the hardest last week, is they're not really good at that shutdown style, at least not really anymore. If they just stick to their guns and just play the way that they play best and keep pressuring, you'll end up with some good results, and we got some darn good results out of this game.
We said it multiple times. The foot on the gas pedal the entire time, because these are NHL teams. Anybody can be anybody. Well, maybe not if you're the San Jose Sharks, who have struggled a ton this season, and that's who came to town next for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I believe they still don't have a win on this season. They didn't have one coming into this game, and it was kind of apparent why in this game. But again, still an NHL team, and the Lightning executed beautifully once again as they beat the Sharks 6-0. Matt, you mentioned it. Braden Point got the scoring open in this one. Eyssimont got himself on the board. Some of the big names, Stamkos, Paul gets another one. Brandon Hagel got himself back on the score sheet. Glendening even got his first as a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it was just another great defensive game. Only 23 shots on goal allowed, and Johansson stopped every single one of them. So back-to-back shutouts for the Lightning and Jonas Johansson, where this was the biggest question mark coming into the season for the Lightning. And these past 2 games, they showed it's not a problem for them. They played another fantastic game.
Are we kind of foolish every time we make an assessment before the season on how the Lightning are going to be struggling? Last year it was going to be that we don't have the right core for defensemen, and then Perbix comes out of nowhere. This year, oh no, we're without Vasi, and we just are going to have to rely on a substitute goalie to fill in, and he's looking like an absolute stud. Starting to question my own analysts on it.
You're telling me that we were wrong? That's impossible. We're never wrong.
Hey, I'd rather be wrong than be right about the team struggling. So I'm happy to be wrong about those situations. A huge game for the Lightning, though, as they've gone back-to-back shutouts. And again, the defense played really well, I thought. And the only player that I think kind of struggled over these past 2 games was maybe Connor Sherry. He's having a hard time getting things underneath him, but some guys take a little bit longer than others. I mean, but overall, it's just been really impressive from the Lightning on all parts of the ice. And the Lightning could have had more goals in that San Jose game. There was a couple times that they had some wide open chances that they couldn't quite finish off. But
without a doubt, they shut it down mid-game. I mean, prior to that, it was one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen on the ice.
Yep,
it was like
that was the word I was going to use, is dominant. I mean, when was the last time you've seen an NHL game this dominant? Probably not really that many this season. But when was the last time the Lightning were this dominant against a team? And I get it. This is a historically bad start for the San Jose Sharks here, but still, I mean, this was a very fun is kind of the wrong word to use, because at a certain point I kind of started feeling bad for these guys. Like, let up just a little bit. Like, it was brutal. But can you guys remember the last time the Lightning dominated a team so badly, where you just started feeling bad for the opponent.
I can't remember seeing it ever. Not like that. Not for that first 30 minutes of play. It looked like a 30-minute power play almost, and it wasn't even. So I think I was kind of trying to break it down a little bit. It's kind of a combination of lower speed and skilled players, coupled with like absolutely horrendous coaching that led to this. The Lightning are extremely skilled with the puck, and if you give them time or space, they'll carve you up like a Thanksgiving turkey. And they gave them both, and you could see what happened. I mean, it was just continuous play. They would lose track of guys. The Sharks would lose track of guys very quickly, like Pointer's goal, where how do you lose Braden Point? You can't lose somebody that everybody passes to pull the trigger. And he had all day long. He was able to take a few extra steps to move even more towards the middle to really square up his shot and buried that one.
Same goes for the Nick Paul goal too. Like he was just on an island all alone out front. Like there were two guys just that got caught puck watching. Again, just as good of this was absolutely the best game they played all season. But maybe grading on a curve, it's probably middle of the pack because this is the San Jose Sharks through 8 games. Do you know how many goals they have?
Not
that they've
lot.
Scored?
That San Jose goals for through 8 games.
I'm gonna guess 16.
Jake?
That's being nice. I'm gonna go with 10.
8. They're averaging 1 goal a game, and they got shut out back to back. But yeah, averaging 1 goal a game like that. That's brutal. Again, feeling a little bad. And of course, Logan Couture, he's still out. He's probably one of their, if not their best player. But losing Erik Karlsson, losing Brent Burns a couple of years ago. I mean, this team just really doesn't have a whole lot going for them. They've got a couple prospects. They just drafted Will Smith, 4th overall. That William Eklund kid, he actually looked pretty good, but just anemic, apathetic performance from them. Like, again, not even just feeling bad for, parts of the game, but just their whole season in general has just been super rough.
Well, I saw on the standings they're negative 26 for the goal differential already.
Yes. 8-1 is their record right now. So at least they got a point at one point. It's been a rough start, and I will never complain about a start of a season ever again because that is the bottom of the barrel right there. But a lot of great things to take away from this week. So it was kind of hard to pick your 3 stars of the week because you had so many guys that really stood out. But let's go to our 3 stars for this week, and starting off at the number 3 spot, it's going to none other than Braden Point. Braden Point getting himself on the board. He had 2 huge goals, finally getting that monkey off his back, as we talked about. 3 points on the week from him. Matt, I'll start with you. What did you see from Braden Point?
Like we were saying, just getting that just massive King Kong gorilla off his back. Again, only through 6 games, but he finally, he hasn't looked bad at all throughout any of these games this year, really. But just nothing was really working out for him. A lot of forced passes to him. He had good connection with Kucherov over the last 3 games, kind of being more of a disher, but finally he gets some luck go his way. He's finally starting to create that space instead of just trying to weasel his way in. He's moving his feet a little bit better, using his brain a little bit better, just creating his own space instead of having somebody else make it for him. So he's definitely turning the Jets on a bit. And of course, he's still just going to absolutely dominate from here. Like I was saying earlier, just get that first one. Now he's got 2. I think he's going to be a goal a game for the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, he definitely has the potential to be a scoring threat. I mean, he's gotten how many breakaways already that he wasn't able to convert on. He's had the chances. It's just a matter of finishing. And that goal that he scored in the San Jose game, it really says something when a player can take the time to settle it down, take a look, realize that you've got enough space that you can. He basically did a double pump on it, toe dragged it more to the middle and shot it far side. To have the ability to know an ice awareness, it means that he's zoning in now. He's in the zone, and what a big week for him.
It was always going to be hard to follow up a 50-goal season, but he's off to a good start this week, and he gets our number 3 star of the week. And then for the number 2 star, it's a guy who only had 1 goal, just 1 point on the week, but his dedication is like none other, and that's Mikey Eyssimont. So Eyssimont gets the 2nd star of the week. Joe, I'll start with you. What did you see from Eyssimont?
Hustle, determination, and he's like I don't know if you'd say like a pit bull out there, or more of a chihuahua that's just constantly biting at your ankles. He's always all over the puck carrier and generating turnovers or just harassing especially the defense of the other team. And I can't remember if it was Cooper that said it or if it was JVB saying that they want to make sure that this team is more difficult to play against. He is that player. Even the fact that the goal that he scored was a deflection shot as he was being sent midair from being hit by one of the other players. Kind of looked like the celebration that Bobby Orr is immortalized with having, except for he tipped the puck in that position. He's a hustler. He's a gamer, and I love it. I love that he was our 2nd star.
It was a great goal that he scored, that tip while he was being cross-checked in the back. I mean, that hustle, that was the best word we could use. But, from what we've seen with Mikey Eyssimont so far throughout his Bolts tenure, everybody's been fairly impressed. He's become quickly a fan favorite, a third-line guy that just puts all the effort in all the time. He did have a little bit of a slower start to the season, but, man, this game, he might have been the best player on the ice throughout 60 minutes. He was noticeable every single shift. Crazy every shift. It was a Mikey Eyssimont legacy game, especially against his former team too. He might have just had that little extra pep in his step, but he was dynamite that entire game. I didn't see, really anything bad from him. He was checking guys. He was hard on the forecheck, hard on the back check. He was literally everywhere as in as many places he could be at once. And the craziest thing about that, despite him just absolutely dominating that game against the Sharks, he had the least amount of ice time of anybody on the team. Again, he just made every single shift worthwhile. He was noticeable for all the right reasons every single shift, despite being the lowest ice time throughout the game.
He made the most of the time he had, which is always impressive. You got to take what you can get, and Eyssimont did that no problem. Now, for the number 1 star, I bet you can't guess who it is. I know it's a really tough pick this week. But of course, it's got to be Jonas Johansson, who had back-to-back shutouts. He stopped a whopping, I think it was 58 shots that on goal through both of the games. Or 56 shots, excuse me. But an amazing performance from Jonas Johansson. Just all around fantastic. A guy that we mentioned had question marks in, but he showed up in a very big way. Joel, I'll start with you. What did you like from Johansson this week?
There wasn't really anything to not like this week with him. He played so well, and it's more about that Carolina game, right? That was a team that they've been struggling a bit this season, but still has the ability to really turn it on and burn you. And he played extremely well. There's a couple of really close calls that were scary, but then other ones that he handled with such poise that he's cool, calm, and collected, and really made a big difference when it came to the confidence of the team, in my opinion. Just pulling up the stats still, if I've been playing with that NHL, was it Edge? Yeah, where you can see the analytics, and there's some cool stuff. He's still way ahead for the number of shots that he's seen and number of saves. But Blackwood for the Sharks is now starting to catch up after getting lit up a bit. But JoJo, JJ, Johansson, he's absolutely great, and it's a heck of a feat to get 2 shutouts in a row.
I certainly did not have Jonas Johansson being, 2 consecutive week stars on my bingo card, and certainly not back-to-back shutouts on my bingo card either. Like, he has, taken all of our doubts and just threw them away. And again, it's not just a flash in the pan or anything. Again, it's still a small sample size, but we're not just going off of, well, I guess we are just going off of these 2 games, but, he played terrific against Toronto. He saved our bacon a number of times, but I guess just, focusing on this week, did every single thing we could have asked for him, and then more, and then more, and then more. Like, he was as good as a goalie can be. Again, the Sharks didn't really test him all that much. I want to say they really only got like 2, maybe 3 actual dangerous scoring chances throughout the entire game. But Carolina, they tested him. They were peppering him. Again, not a huge, great performance from them, but back-to-back shutouts. They speak for themselves. But I have a quick question for you guys. Who do you think the Lightning can get at the trade deadline for Andrei Vasilevsky?
Oh, well, I know he's looked fantastic, but let's not get ahead of ourselves too quickly here. But he has been really good, and I think some credit needs to go to Francois, who's coaching his 1,000th game recently as well. But Francois has been fantastic with all the goalie coaches. All the goalies that he's coached over the last couple of seasons. I mean, Andrei Vasilevsky, Ben Bishop, now Jonas Johansson, even Louis Domingue, he's looked very, very good and has really helped a lot of these goaltenders get to that next level.
He's been the goalie whisperer again. You know, Ben Bishop, Andrei Vasilevsky. There's some good mentorship between the two, but neither of those two are probably the goalies that they are without Franz John. Like, he has been a key part of this team for what 1,000 games now. That's, you know, an entire
over 1,000 games.
You know, that's a Hall of Fame career for, you know, an NHL player to be able to, you know, be the goalie whisperer for, you know, over a decade now. I think that's what the math boils down to, is something crazy. And again, you know, even some of the backups that we've had, even older veterans like McElhaney and Elliott, they kind of found, you know, maybe not a new spark with, you know, them in their older age, but, you know, maybe unlocked a different level at an older age. Just, you know, keeping the guys consistent, keeping them responsible, not really letting them cheat, just, you know, being a guiding force. I can't really speak a lot on the goalie position. Me and Joe plan to change that soon. Hopefully I get to suit up in net. But I really can't criticize any goalies or anything, but man, he is doing a heck of a job and has been. Franz John is such an underrated piece of this Lightning team.
All right, looking ahead for the Lightning now for the rest of the week. They've got the Seattle Kraken tonight as of this recording. Hopefully by the time you're seeing this episode, it's another win in the books for the Lightning. But a game on paper, the Lightning should be able to win. Seattle has not beaten them in their existence so far. And then the next game will be on Thursday, where the Lightning will head back on the road for the start of a 4-game road trip as they take on the Columbus Blue Jackets at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturday, November 4th, they're taking on the Ottawa Senators at 7 o'clock Eastern. So a couple of games that on paper you say, all right, the Lightning should be able to handle business. But the Ottawa one, I think, is the big one. It's another division game for the Lightning. And last time they played the Senators, things did not go their way whatsoever. And now hopefully we're going to continue to see the trend of what we saw this last week of some very solid defense for the Lightning. Joe, what are you looking for this next week for the Lightning?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. The Senators being one of the big games, get that divisional game going. Also, continuing the trends that we've already seen throughout the past week as well. One thing I didn't bring up that I wanted to mention for the Carolina game is there is a specific play where Lightning were on the power play. Hedman kind of made an errant pass and ended up making a 2-on-1 going the other way. Kucherov skated his butt off, some of the hardest skating I've seen him do all season to break that play up. That's the sort of tenacity that we have to have on the defensive side of the puck. And as long as they keep up those trends, I'm pretty hopeful for the week ahead.
Yeah, the Senators game is going to be the one to really keep your eye on. I think the game earlier in the year, what was that, game 2? It was still, you know, a bunch of new faces on the team, a feeling out process internally against a up-and-coming team. It was a team that I'm still kind of high on, and they're kind of starting to regress back down to the mean. They've got a couple injuries, so I think the Lightning are going to go in there with some vengeance planned for them. Again, steal another 2 points from a divisional opponent that stole 2 points from them. Hopefully they can impose their will and not just squeak out a win. Hopefully we can keep up this good trend of pretty dominant play. And again, going back to the Seattle game, which is going to take place tonight, hopefully we can keep that unbeaten streak against Seattle alive. I want to say we're the only team in the league that has never lost to Seattle. So that's a kind of nice thing to keep under your belt. So I'm hoping they get to keep that alive tonight.
So they're 2-5-2 right now. The Kraken are, so they're not off to a very strong start.
Especially for a team that made the postseason last year. I mean, this is not a, they are an expansion team. They're still relatively new, but they've had some good success as of late. The bottom line is, though, the Lightning, they've looked scary good, if you will, over the last couple of games. And if you want to look just as scary good as the Lightning have, you can head over to shop.rblrsports.com and check out the awesome inspired merch that we have from all of the different teams here in Tampa Bay. From the Lightning, the Rays, the Bucks, the Rowdies, you name it, we got it. Again, head over to shop.rblrsports.com to check it out. And the best part is, for you guys, we've got an exclusive code to get 10% off your order, and that is code BOLT. So be sure, links as always in the description. Be sure to go over there and check those out.
Hey, Jake, me and Joe showed up wearing costumes, but we still trying to figure out what mask you're wearing.
What mask am I wearing? I know I didn't get the memo clearly that we were doing costumes today, but I'll have to go back and find the picture. Maybe we can post it on RBLR Sports. I dressed up for one of the Halloween games that the Lightning played a while back. I had a little scary mask with a Lightning logo on it and some long hair and a puck hat, but that's what I did back a while ago, a couple years ago.
Your homework for next week is to break that out for the November show, I guess. But,
I'll have to go back and definitely look for that one. But that's going to do it for us in this episode, guys, today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Halloween edition of RBLR Lightning. Be sure to follow us on social media at RBLR Sports. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. We'll see you guys in the next one. Go Bolts!
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.